Timed it just in right time for the coffee grinding.
Sorry. I was trying to actually get it in before.
Well, I gave you a whole rotation of the introduction stuff, so it ended up being a little bit longer than I normally do. So, welcome to session 109, or Phase 3, Season 2, Episode 2. Online today, we have Jeremy.
Good evening, all. I'm playing Dmitry Dimitrov, the proud Keldaran member of who grew up in the area of the Grand Duchy of Karameikos. Who came from very poor peasant stock beginnings, but has worked his way up through his wisdom and intelligence and general fine demeanour.
And his humbleness. We always got to remember that one.
Humility is so far beyond.
His innate desire to help others and spread the good knowledge and wisdom to all has helped him become the prominent member of society that he deserves to be. I mean, that he was destined to be.
Always was.
And always will be, I'm sure.
Yes, and as part of that discovering his destiny was the obvious connection with Halav and the other pantheons of the Karameikos society and Keldaran society.
Does that mean one day you're going to hear Harlov say, Dmitry, I am your father? Because it is your destiny.
Well, I'd be surprised if he said that.
Really? Dmitry would?
Well, I mean, he shouldn't be my father when he's my great-great-great-great-great-great-great-granddad.
Oh, okay.
Well, you never know.
That could complicate things.
He might actually have 2 or 3 of his descendant bloodlines connected. Because gods have been known to leave offspring in the world.
Well, I mean, it also helps to ensure the bloodline stays pure. If he inserts himself back into it a few times. But hey, Dmitry knew his father, and he wouldn't want Halak to be that.
Fair enough.
Next online we have is Martin.
Yes, I'm playing a monk and a path of the Kenzai. I think I'm 5'3", and I have a pretty low charisma, so I don't talk too much. But
never stopped Dmitry.
Well, he's 6'4", so he does stand out as far as
no matter how much we would love for it to stop Dmitry.
That's right. But yeah, no, it's all good. Thank you.
Which then brings us to another player online, David, who's just managed to join us during introductions.
Man, I'm timed that perfectly. Hello, I'm David. I play Plamen Goranov, the mighty, undefeated Ethengarian Horse Lord.
Yes, I'm sure you're completely undefeated. None of those battles that no one else can remember, of course, didn't have you defeated.
Well, do you remember it? Do you remember it?
But he's not a character.
If no one remembers it, then it never happened. All right?
Is that like a tree falling in the forest making no sound?
No, this is a history is written by the survivors.
So, Drazzle then.
Notice I didn't say the winners.
So that means if Drazzle wrote it down, it's a fact?
History is written by a consensus of peers.
Yeah.
and not just one person?
Well,
one person pretty well.
Drazzle does agree with the other 4 versions of himself, so that's a consensus.
Drazzle's a dick.
Awesome.
If Drazzle could just press pause on the whole Control-C, Control-V Plumman thing and not get in the way and get him killed, that'd be great.
Do you still need another player?
If you'd like to sit in, you're welcome to, but you don't. We now have 3, so did you want to get other stuff done?
This game, and I'm not looking to add another game. So if you guys will be good as the 3 of you, I'm happy to.
I think they'll be okay with the 3 of them at this point.
This is the game that nearly
We off each other.
I mean, look, let's create more clones by killing each other.
Alright.
Turns out today is not actually a session. Oh, settle down, Connor McLeod.
Well, for me, I was more thinking the idea the world couldn't cope with more than one.
Yeah, one is already too many. Bugger. Hey, I just got to jump off for a second, make a phone call.
Okay, all good.
Martin, let me know if things change and you do need a...
I will. Okay, so for a recap of what happened last session. Luckily, I have notes available.
I would refer to the notes.
So, you were fighting a fairly vicious battle on the north side of the lake.
Oh yeah, that was pretty cool.
With a flashback to spending time at Dimitri's tower.
Yes.
Discussing a treaty with the hill giants and the halflings.
Mm.
And Dimitri's still trying to get the Duke of the Land to put his cousin in his place.
Mm-hmm. Or at least keep his cousin under control so the halflings could safely go and help Darrican.
Mm-hmm. And then Bradshaw was watching his family join the expedition fleet, heading off to try to find what the Master was, information about the Master, because so far there's not enough written down to qualify for a legend lore on him. Because most of it is just rumor and fanciful stories written by people who have no idea of who or what he is. Then you got to witness the fort that you spent many months defending get washed into the lake with a landslide. And had a flashback to Plumman with his clan, how they're trying to wage a holy war against the Haldanic Knights, because I'm sure the world needs another war right now.
Well, people are going to practice for the real one.
And we had another flashback for Trellin and his halfling family.
Yeah, that was a surprise. Yeah. So what was... the halfling came into it. Yeah.
Well, it was related to your character, just unable to be really interacted with well by your character.
Okay. There was no comment from Uncle Bob saying, "My, you've grown now, man."
Good Paul.
Sorry about that, guys.
Well, Trellin had not actually gone back to his halfling family after he became an elf.
No.
So, as far as they know, he just went missing one spring, and that was it.
Well, yeah, like, I did go to the underworld and then disappear, basically. So...
It's okay, you're a halfling. They're not even people anyway.
What, they're only half a person?
Exactly. And they are very small and very easy to lose.
And then the group ended up at joining the reserves from Fort Fletcher, heading back to Darrican City, as all the troops had been recalled to protect the heart of the nation. Not having any enough troops to stop the Master, they're basically calling on you guys to rally your supporters and help them gain troops to win the war. So that sort of brings up to date to what happened last session. And this session you find yourself at the Knight's Rivet Inn on the first day of the 4th month, known as Flower Month, which is the second of the months of spring. And Redrian has gathered you together in the morning to catch up and see where your efforts are going to be best spent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Illicit drug manufacture. No? Okay.
Well, potentially to be distributed then through the Master's armies.
Yeah, we could make some good old Nazi marching chocolate and take over the world.
He does say that due to your request to the Duke, he has managed to get a agreement for the Duke to help put the Black Eagle Barony in its place if you do a diplomatic mission for him on behalf of Karameikos.
Diplomacy. I am perfect at diplomacy.
He says, unfortunately, it would be for Trellin or Dimitri because they are nobles of Karameikos and can represent...
This is racist towards Ethengarians.
Well, no, just face it. You're a noble of Ethengar. Others are nobles in other places.
Yeah, exactly. So you're discriminating against the Ethengarians.
Mainly recognising that those with a local knowledge may be more suited.
Racism. Anyway.
And to be fair, hey, can you imagine Dimitri not being racist?
Also, no. Also,
Palmer not being racist.
I mean, no, Palmer's not racist. You can either fight or you're dead.
This is the description about the halfling we just had.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so, where was I going with that? See, what's really infuriating is, you know, there's this character Plowman, right? And then there's that other guy who's literally a diplomancer, and he doesn't get to go on the diplomatic mission. Anyway.
Well, technically, the other members of Redrian's investigation bureau are going on different diplomatic meeting parties.
Exactly. So the guy who's literally an expert at diplomacy doesn't get to do diplomacy. Yeah,
Well,
it's almost just, hey, hang on a second. You know what Balath's doing? Balath's off riding horses into battle. That's what's actually done.
Though Balath is in a completely different world, so it's very hard for Balath to...
It's fine. No, Balath's going off to ride horses into battle, and Plumman's going on a diplomatic mission.
Absolutely.
David, do you remember that Balath is in Pathfinder, not D&D?
Yes, no, I'm not.
That's right. That doesn't stop him being involved in diplomacy in the Mystara world. Those swords don't get around.
Yeah. Realm to realm. Anyway, sorry. All right, Plumman then just goes, fine, I'll just kill everyone for you.
Well, okay. Dimitri's certainly happy to help put the Black Eagle Barony back in its place, hopefully in a very deep hole in the ground, and Plumman is good at that.
What? This is diplomacy? Turns out I've been in wrong career all my time. Putting people in holes is diplomacy. I've been a diplomat all my life. Look, I can teach you how to diplomacy.
Well, Redrine just looks at Plumman and shakes his head, going, "I think you've got a wrong definition of diplomacy there."
Oh, hey, you're saying Dimitri is wrong? Dimitri, he's saying you are wrong. When does that happen? Yeah.
No. It's merely the fact that your definition of diplomacy is diplomacy at one end of the spectrum.
Yes.
We're possibly going for a slightly other. We're going for a bit of a red shift to a different area of the spectrum for this particular aspect of diplomacy.
Okay, I can't wait till you screw that up and I have to kill people for you. Is he wrong?
What? You can't wait.
He adds that the Duke has a airship known as the Wave Rider waiting for you in Speculum to take you on the diplomatic mission.
Oh, okay. So it's not a diplomatic mission to the Black Eagle Barony. That's a shame.
It is not.
That's the diplomatic mission Plumman would like. So it's the idea that Stefan Karameikos is going to provide a lot more support or some support for Darrakan if we can sort out this other diplomatic situation for them.
That is correct.
Cool.
He says he will dedicate his reserves to help Karameikos.
Or Darrakan.
Sorry, Darrakan. I meant. But hey, I'm sure it can be worded in any way you'd like it to be worded.
Well, certainly if Dimitri's involved in the contract writing, it'll be written in the way that he wants it worded.
Just trying to find the actual how to find the adventure that I was referring to, because I forgot to write the page number down. That's always fun. So yes, is there? Did you guys want to have the layout of what's happening, or do you just want to go off and get this done and check in if you succeed?
Well, it's probably worth having background information, but I suspect also I've already, like I said, player Jeremy's, I think, got a lot of the background information already, and so Dimitri obviously already knows it because he's picked it up from other people or just insightfully understood the situation.
Blyman is about to cast a spell on Jeremy the player.
Plumman and Felon may or may not want to know about background information.
Plumman doesn't care, and he's about to cast the spell Shut the Heck Upicus on Jeremy.
Fair enough.
Plumman gestures. So where are we going?
You says you'll be. So that was you. You didn't want to know what was happening.
I don't. They might. I don't care. You tell me where to go. I go.
Okay. Dimitri certainly wanted to make certain that he has all the information in the background required.
So yes, Dimitri would like it. But God damn it, Jeremy, it's a yes or no question.
Leave that to you.
Well, it's more the fact that I think if it's going to go through the same stuff we did last night, then I've already gone through it.
That sounds like a you problem. Martin, let it roll.
Okay. But clearly,
Flash to the unskippable cutscene.
Okay, so he says that they have identified that the Master's armies are about 50,000 strong.
Okay.
And that Darrakan's armies are at about 30,000, with more than about 75% of them being troops who have never faced combat before.
Yep. Can I just ask how many troops would the Great Khan have in total?
In total, he would probably have about 10,000.
Yep.
If you're lucky. Most likely he would have 6.
Well, there were 20 any other soldiers, so that's fine.
Just that they would be on par with the Master's troops, unfortunately.
No such thing.
Yes, the Master's forces are battle-tested and trained.
Okay. Continue. Does he have more info for us?
He does. He believes that there will be many skirmishes over the fields of Darrakin in the next coming year, depending on where you guys are. You might be able to help head off Master's forces trying to sabotage various parts of Darrakin.
I mean, Plumman asks, what of their leaders, the general? Are they experienced?
Says the generals of Darrakin are experienced in dealing with small groups, not mass armies. And the most trained general they have is an Atruaghin soldier.
Oh, Plumman has just spotted a job opening.
But they don't have the horsemen to be able to field a cavalry unit.
That's okay. Plumman has killed many non-horse-mounted armies, soldiers, and he understands tactics because it's how he fights them.
And they don't believe that they can actually take the Master's position because he has fortified with artillery.
Oh yeah, there's no way. We have to subterfuge that.
And they think he's bringing between 100 to 1,000 troops across the lake a week.
But the end result being that, yes, they're not likely to actually, beyond skirmishes and reconnaissance patrols, they're not likely to actually push, or they're not expected to push beyond the border of the lake for at least another 6 months or more. Is that correct?
They're expecting the Master to make his push in winter. At the moment, the Darrakin forces are 2-1 compared to what the Master has on this side of the lake. But the in 1-to-1 combat, it would probably take 3 Darrakonian troops to take out one of the Masters.
Yeah. And how many troops does he have over there? Did you say? Master?
At the moment, he has about 15,000 on this side of the lake.
Okay.
15.
Yeah.
And how many on this side of the lake?
What was that? I had multiple people talking at the same time.
Sorry, how many on this side of the lake again?
I said 15,000.
Sorry. Was that this side of? My apologies. I haven't quite followed properly. How many are on either side of the lake?
On this side of the lake is 15,000. On the far side of the lake is another 35,000.
Okay, and how many troops do we have? Does Old Mate have on this side of the lake as well?
This side of the lake, you have 30,000.
Yeah.
Look, we can even out those odds a bit.
They've just replenished 2 armies that were completely annihilated, which were the strongest armies in Darrakin, and are now filled with green troops who have never faced combat.
It would be better to train them.
They're hoping to get the time to train them.
The seeking of the Black Knights or whoever they are, their support.
The Haldanic Knights?
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry, what? Who?
So he does continue to say that there are elven relics appearing outside of Elfheim now that the elves seem to be abandoning their nation. and he's concerned with them finding their way into the battlefield because they're not the sort of items you want in a battlefield. Especially if any of them are made from the Tree of Life, the Master might just wipe out all elves by finding one.
Look, they're only elves. They're not real people. They're kind of like halflings.
6'4".
No, I'm just saying that you don't count as people.
I mean, that must be true because Parman's not racist.
Exactly.
He just hates everyone.
Look, the moment you find me an elf that can beat Parman is the moment he'll accept that they're actually people.
Do you want me to
And
bring
he'll
him back
gladly
in
accept
again?
it.
Would you like him
Jesus
brought back
Christ,
in
no.
again?
Good grief, no thank you.
He's not too hard to bring back into the storyline. I could have him in Darkin City right now.
Hard pass.
Well, hey, I'm sure you wouldn't mind facing a 20th level fighter, 10th level wizard.
Did you guys hear that? It's the sound of Hellenic Knights. We should go and fight them right now.
Okay, so back to things that are happening. The elves in the forest are having a civil war over how they should transplant their trees.
Ha! Nerds.
Why are they having a civil war?
Because, as put to Tuesday's group, they are elf-splaining to each other how to do things.
Elf-splaining.
Yes. Every clan and every individual within the clan has their own thoughts on what the elves should be doing and what they shouldn't be doing.
Right.
I really think we should be just channeling our inner Kostra from SBS. Right.
And I thought elf-splaining was the best way to say how silly it is.
Ah, that's fantastic.
So they...
Look, as an elf, I know how these are supposed to be done.
Yeah, you should ask Dimitri.
Shut up.
So yes, they're also talking about how the Feywild has been cut off from Elfheim, and any of the Feywild creatures that were on this side of the portals were left behind.
As you do.
And creatures from the Fey Dark have been coming in great numbers.
They sound cool. We should befriend them.
Fey Dark. What's that?
So the Fey Dark is like the Unseelie Fey.
Ah.
Now, you're never going to understand this properly, but it's the Fey in the shadows. Right? It's the Fey, and they've recently lost their power, right? And there's no lights. How did Daniel Andrews let that happen?
Well, obviously they didn't pay the power bill well enough. And says the Atruaghin Clans are up to secret projects on the plateau. People can hear the banging of metal on metal echoing down from what's ever happening up there. As their borders are closed to non-Atruaghins, no one's been able to find out what they're doing. Next, coming up is King Thar has been marshalling his forces near Carameikos, which is the northernmost city of Darkin. Now that Darkin has pulled all its forces that keeps the unwanted in their place, there's a good chance that King Thar may invade south and either help or hinder the Master. It's very hard to tell, considering at least half of the Master's forces and all the forces under King Thar are very similar. That's basically a majority of the Master's forces are goblinoids or giant kind. Also, the Darkin merchant princes have put out a request for people to go into the Orklands and find out what the hell's going on there.
That sounds like a lovely, fun mission. We should do that.
And there's still clockwork automations causing havoc near Salonika.
No, thank you. Not now, not ever.
And they're still waiting on someone able to travel to Hull and return their missing city.
I don't know why Plummer doesn't want to go to Salonika. I mean, he made such a lovely clockwork automaton.
Shut up, nerd.
And so in Ethingar, it's the year of the yak, but no one seems to know what that means. And every Ethingarian just looks at you and says, even a 4-year-old knows what you're saying. And then won't tell anyone else what it means.
I'm sorry, can you just run that whole thing by me again, please?
It's the Ethingarian year of the yak. And
Yes.
Ethingarians won't tell anyone outside of Ethingar what that means.
Oh, right. Yeah. Can't tell you. It's a secret.
It's obvious.
Can't
to
tell
them.
you, then I have to kill you. In fact, hang on. Here, what a case.
I mean, while the opportunity presents itself.
And they do say that the hordes under the Golden Khan are ready to strike. No one knows exactly where they're going to strike. And in the Five Shires, a pirate treasure that can unite the pirates of the world is rumoured to be in the Black Eagle Barony at this time, having been stolen by that nation some time ago.
It's a jar of dirt.
Quite possibly. In Galantry, undead lords are still continuing to battle in Moldavia. I'm sure Plumman could be of great use there.
Well,
Galantry?
yeah.
Yep.
But when you're talking undead war, it's hard to keep a good guy down.
Yep.
Or a bad guy down. Or any guy down.
All I know is we're about to get down.
In Irendi, they are actually starting to dig up the relics of the past of the Mackay people. And some of those relics are said to be have been hidden for a reason, and why they're pulling them out now is basically the equivalent of digging out weapons of mass destruction.
Ah, yes.
Just to
We must go and invade Iraq and their great leader, Masad Hassan.
In Minrathad, the guilds are squabbling over what to do because a big chunk of their leadership have joined the expedition fleet heading west to learn the origins of the Master.
That's nice of them.
or rather, plunder whatever they can.
Well, they also get to set up trade routes because that's what they're good at. They are the best merchant seamen in the world. They'll tell you that many times over.
Ah, they must know Dimitri.
Dimitri taught them.
And
Yes.
in the Northern Reaches, the three Norse kingdoms are currently holding council. And when we say holding council, they've never actually held council in the recorded history of the world.
They don't normally talk to each other.
Maybe we
much.
should send them a demand to release council. Who is council?
So people are sort of looking in that direction with worry as fighting each other has kept them occupied for many centuries. And
I'm sure it's fine.
in Rockholm, the dwarves are busily fighting giants with a do not disturb sign on their entryways. And in Yalarum, many relics are being found across the desert, with a lot of wishmakers available and being abused. And he does point out that Gaining a wish is a very risky venture because only devils and demons provide wishcraft to people. You'll know if it's a demon because you will be in the deep end straight away. If it's not obvious how you're screwed over, then it's most likely a devil.
Mm-hmm.
And they're probably speaking Ignean.
And you haven't read the fine print.
Yes.
In Alphatia, the gnomish flying city is asking for assistance, so they are hoping that the group of you will be able to, while you have access to the flying ship, be able to see what you can to help the gnomes get their flying city back up and running, because they might be able to provide support against the master.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Considering
It sounds like there's a whole bunch of side quests that are eventually going to provide support for the overall mission.
and they're talking about Norworld, the lands of ice and snow heating up. They don't elaborate.
Well, that can only be a rumor.
And they're talking about the dragons of the Worm's Teeth are in council over the return of the greater dragon god of chaos.
Because any sort of climate change.
Because I'm sure climate change is just a rumor, not a fact.
Yeah.
Until you're underwater.
Look, if the gods wanted the planet cool, they would have given us refrigerators.
He points to a box in the corner of the room and says, there's one over there.
Yeah, but we have heaters. And also, that's witchcraft. It's brought to us by wishcraft. By the demons and the devils.
Says, well, that they do say that hell freezes over occasionally.
Yeah, cool. Anyway, climate change is a hoax, and Ethingaria will rule for all time. I'm gonna go visit some gnomes.
Yeah, I'm with that. The gnomes, helping the gnomes.
Yeah, you know, the real halflings.
Well, I think that also involves going to Karameikos to pick up a flying ship.
It does.
Why would you need to pick it up? It's flying.
Well, that is where it is stationed at this stage. So I was just
Right.
Yeah, but there's no need to pick it up. This isn't Scar.
Just making sure I can dig out the relevant book. There we go. Yeah, some of these books are quite old. You can sort of tell by the frayed nature of the back of it. Amusingly, I believe I got it in that state too. Just trying to see if this was where I'd dug up that information. Obviously not that one. Okay, so yes. You've been... so he says he wishes you luck in getting to wherever the Duke wants you to go to make peace.
That seems unlikely.
And you should be able to use the portal here to go straight to Specularum where the airship is waiting. They didn't want to have the airship come here because it's too close to the Master's forces. They do not wish to add more artillery to his army.
And also, of course, which way the airship, which way we've got to go, it might be a lot faster to teleport somewhat eastward to Specularum and then travel from there.
It should save you quite a few days.
It's good.
Yeah. So I guess, okay, so basically we will stock up, prepare ourselves, re-equip anything that people need to be doing, and then heading off in the morning or something, or waiting for our spot in the queue of the teleportation circle. Because hey, he's sending people off everywhere. I expect at the moment. So.
He is sending people in a lot of different places. So getting yourself onto the teleportation queue would definitely help.
Uh-huh.
Cool. Plumman does that, and he waits for everybody else. Holds their spot in the line.
Does anybody need to do any re-equipping or shopping or anything like that before we go?
No, I handed back one of my magic items.
Yeah.
I wish I could hand back one of my magic items.
Which one's that one? Which one would you like to hand back?
The particularly useful glaive of Dimitri. But alas, it shan't be handed back.
Yeah.
I'm sure you don't really need it anyway.
I mean, of course, you'll very rarely need it, because usually you know where Dimitri is. It's only when you get lost and need to re-find yourself, that's the helmet will take you home.
Look, when push comes to shove, every magic item has its own curse.
That is all fun and games until someone loses an eye, as they say.
Yeah.
We're not playing Scrabble.
Okay. So, he says, are you ready to go? Oh, by the way, they do have some awards for you if you wish to stay around for a couple of days, but he recommends getting out while you can. Otherwise, you may be here for a while. He hopes you can sort this out as soon as possible because they have only 8 months left until the Master's forces should be strong enough to break through to Alfheim or to Darken City, depending on what they're doing. And if the Master breaks Darken's forces, there is not a single army anywhere else in the known world that can stop him.
Well, obviously, at the mention of receiving awards and accolades, Dimitri wouldn't want to deprive the populace and the crowd of the opportunity to give him his just rewards.
Plumman pushes Dimitri into the portal.
I was assuming that was going to happen.
Well, there was a reason I worded it in that way.
Like a player, I was hoping it was going to happen.
Yep.
So yes, you find yourself in Specularum, not just on the outside of the city.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to do?
Plumman grabs the nearest gnome and says, "Take us to your leader."
Well, Dimitri, okay, you might be fine. There's not many near gnomes. There might be a few gnomes around, but there won't be actually lots of gnomes in Specularum.
Okay, so the gnome points north and says, that way about 2 weeks travel.
Yes.
We
actually want to go and talk to the Duke, and
all right. He goes back to the gnome and says, "Take us to the Duke," and checks him a little bit.
He swacks you in the ankle with a mace.
Are you coming, Simon?
Well, I was thinking about rolling initiative, but okay.
And you can hear his curses in gnomish coming after you.
Shut up, little man. I've met greater gnomes than you.
What, dwarves? Well, yeah, so Dimitri will readily lead the pair, although I'm fairly certain someone knows as well about specular a bit, but okay. Dimitri will readily lead the group through and head straight up towards the Duke Palace. And obviously get admitted straight through to see the Duke.
Mm-hmm.
Is that obvious?
Well, that's Dimitri.
You only have to wait in line for about 3 hours before you get in, but hey, it's literally straight in.
Mm-hmm. You want to give us some time for breakfast?
Plowman challenges everybody in front of him one-on-one to wrestle.
Most of them look at you and just shudder. You do have a lot more muscles than most of the people in line.
Yes, so everyone that denies that he just pushes past slightly.
Though the guards do tap you on the shoulder and say, "Who are you?"
I am the person at the front of the line by right of conquest.
But you have no authority here.
I know. That's why I'm here to visit the guy with the authority. Oh, sorry. No, I am the hired muscle. Talk to the talking people.
Yeah. The Duke is expecting us.
He's expecting a lot of people.
And it is something that, whilst, so my colleague here may have been quite forthright in his approach, I suspect that His Excellency would appreciate seeing us sooner rather than later.
Well, I have bumped you up to today instead of a week from now, which some of the other people have to wait for.
Yes, good.
For
Anyway.
as I say, if you go on the fact that, yeah, well, the quest on which His Excellency requested us should not wait.
It will not wait long, I'm sure. It says, I will get to you as quickly as I can, he says.
Well,
Very good.
speaking of not waiting long, we are here.
Excellent, yes.
He's currently in discussions about making sure that food is available to those who can't afford it, and shelter.
Wow, I don't hate this guy.
And okay, Simon. We have a bit of time. Hi.
No, I said I don't hate this guy. I'll wait.
That's good. Yes. There's also, Dimitri will aim to have a quiet conversation where the plumber hears anything, but talk about the fact, yes, this is part of that diplomacy aspect that you don't necessarily want to deliberately annoy the people you want to talk to.
Yes, that's why I haven't antagonized these lovely gentlemen.
Indeed.
I've said this.
You've got this diplomacy thing down pat.
Shut up, idiots.
Dimitri will look over his shoulder wondering who you're talking to.
Oh, there is a guy in a fool's costume behind you, so obviously it must be him.
Yeah.
Okay, so after waiting for about 3 hours for the Duke to free up his schedule, you find yourself taken into a side chamber where there's lots of maps laid out in various places, open books, and quite a few different people making notes and scribing on things and moving little figurines around on maps.
Plummet actively searches out for people who could potentially be trying to kill us.
Yeah, whereas Dimitri's definitely looking at the maps and the notes and making an assessment on the current status of forces and the plans.
Yeah, I'll be in that as well. I don't need to.
I'm just going to go on mute.
Watch out with particular urgency.
Okay, so I will give an investigation roll to both Dimitri and Trellin. And while you're rolling that, I'm just going to duck to the bathroom.
Oh.
6.
You've got 6, have you?
Yeah.
Well, I've got a nice start to the night. Obviously a useless roll, but hey. I've got 31 upgraded.
Nice.
A natural 20 is always a nice way to start a night. Of course, you got to go downhill from there is the problem.
So yeah, I got a 4.
Hey, so how did you guys go?
I got a 6.
The whole 6?
Yeah. Jeremy won.
I got a natural 20 for 31 upgraded. So virtually the same.
Now, how about Plumman? Did Plumman get an investigation check? And we'll see if he noticed anyone that's threatening the group.
Yeah, if you could just roll that for me.
Jeremy, up to you.
I'll see if I'll roll the same dice and see what happens.
Natural 1.
Did you roll a 1, you piece of shit?
Was it a 1?
I kept from the 20 it was going to go downhill. Sorry, David. Natural 1.
So, Plum, while looking out for assassins, is more distracted by battle plans.
Well, I was thinking the idea, you said you were looking at people who are out to kill the group or you. Because, hey, if you're including Dimitri in the group, then potentially you're looking out for yourself to kill Dimitri, aren't you?
Yeah, Plum looks in a mirror. He winks at himself. Soon, buddy, soon.
Okay, so everyone, the rest of the group noticed Plumman giving himself winks and smiles in one of the mirrors off to the side, while while Dimitri also notices that the plans on the table are basically the Duke marshalling the reserves with plans to get the coastal reserves done in about a month and the inland reserves in another month.
Okay.
So he could technically have the troops marshalled fully in 2 to 3 months.
And does it look like he's preparing them for deployment to Darrakan, or is this deployment against the Black Eagle Barony?
Looks as if they're getting ready to be deployed to Darrakan, so
Cool.
his troops don't leave the Black Eagle Barony undefended, and are still stationed. His main troops are stationed either side of it to keep it in its place.
Cool. That's right. I mean, hey, Dimitri would be disappointed if you missed out on the opportunity to tear the Black Eagle Barony down.
Well, Bargle is one of your pet hates right now, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Okay.
And then The Duke looks up and says, "Oh, so I believe you're here now." He's glad you got word of his call to be a diplomatic envoy for him.
Always here to help Your Excellency.
Says, what I have in stall is for you to represent Karameikos in the Alphatian Senate and see if you can gain a treaty with Alphatia that we will separate from the Thyatin Empire and once we make an agreement we won't enter that war, we will be free to support Darrakan.
Mm-hmm. That sounds worthwhile, although have you heard recent news from Alphatia? Okay, hang on, okay. Apologies. When you said Alphatia, I was thinking Alfheim. I was thinking, look at that point, make it clear with Alfheim. So, but no, okay, Alphatia works, okay.
Which is hence the sky ship.
Yes, that's right. I can't remember. Was it Dimitri who went to Alfheim or was it Jack who went to Alfheim? Sorry, Alphatia.
I believe it was both groups have made it to I think all three groups have actually made it to Alphatia at some point.
Okay, no, well, I'm more talking about the one that the group that actually destroyed all the Alphatian airships.
Well, the groups that destroyed it was Wednesday night. The groups that went on a diplomatic mission was Tuesday night.
That's right. And that's why I had in my head the fact that I was getting myself confused. So,
and Wednesday night also went there to go to the island of Aegos and travel to the Hollow World.
Yeah, that's right. It was actually the Tuesday night group going for diplomatic mission that I was concerned about because, yes, I don't think that there's many in Alphatia that would recognise Dimitri, aside from reputation, based upon his activities in Alphatia. So I could be concerned thinking that the Tuesday night group going as envoys might be a problem, but Dimitri will be fine.
The Duke is willing for you to represent the nation, and his main reason for doing so is to succeed from the Thyatin Empire and not oblige the Troldaran people into a war that they don't want to fight.
Most appropriate. Are you looking for particular support or offering particular concessions towards Alphatia as part of your secession from Thyatin?
His only thing is to make sure that we're kept out of the war.
So basically you want to ensure that Alphatia is aware that Karameikos is not a target in their war with Thyatin because Karameikos does not consider itself part of Thyatin. Is that the thought process?
That's the thought process. And they just want from Alphatia recognition that they're a kingdom in their own right.
Yep. Start getting the United Nations on their side by working on one of the big guys. Yep, fair enough.
Well, they'll never stand alone if they stay with Thyatis.
Indeed.
And they've already received a summons to join the war.
From Thyatis, you mean? For joining our Alphatian war? Yeah.
From the Emperor of Thyatis, an official declaration has come for us to marshal all our troops and join the war.
And so at the present time, you're having some trouble communications, and when they can see, you're definitely marshalling troops in preparation. They don't need to know exactly what you're preparing them for at the present time.
That is correct.
Correct? Indeed.
And he intends to announce that they have succeeded when the troops march for Darrakan. He intends to send some over the mountains and some along the coast.
Very good. Might have to raise the packing of ale in the way. It'll be a shame, but not to worry.
Says there's a time for everything. He can't afford to waste his forces at this stage.
It is certainly not appropriate to try and fight a battle on multiple fronts when you can avoid it.
Though he's also got an agreement from the Giants to help protect the eastern side from Thyatus.
Oh, that's good.
As part of succeeding that part of the mountain range to them.
Aha. I'm glad to see that negotiations were successful. I'm sure that we will have no problem with Alphasia getting a similar result.
He's trying to make as many friends as possible. Though he may have a mission for Trellin when you get back in regards to Alfheim.
Yes.
He's looking to offer them part of his forests as a place to resettle.
Oh, nice.
Is that part of the Kalari forest, or is that part of the Kerensky forest? Is Kerensky forest on the other side?
Okay, it is the Dimmerak forest.
Which is the left, or is that the east or west side of the country?
That is the eastern side.
The eastern side, okay. Yep.
So if you can see the...
There we go, yep. So it will be effectively aiming to be somewhat next door to the Kalari elves. I know, because they're in the Rattler books. No, so yeah, in the Dimrak forest, yes. So the Kalari elves are also there, and he's basically figuring that if he brings more elves into there, then he might get rid of the goblins. How generous of him.
Well, it was either deal with the goblins or end up on that side of the river and potentially clash with the Vilalia elves.
No. Dimitri's perfectly thinking it's a very cunning, very good choice, sir. Yes, we can clear out the Dimrak forest, because it also then means it's not interfering with his terrain over in the Rattler woods.
He thought you would appreciate that. And it would give them a new home to settle. Plus clear out goblins from the region, which he does by spitting into one of the corner buckets whenever he says goblin.
And it is certainly clear that Darrakan gained some advantages to having Alfheim within the middle of its terrain, so it'll certainly be a coup for Karameikos to be able to provide the elves a home.
It would potentially be his third kingdom inside his domain, because there is the Kalari kingdom, there is the Gnomish kingdom of Highforge, and potentially that would give the elves another domain of their own.
Mm-hmm.
Might not be a big domain, but it would be better than nothing.
Yeah.
And plus it would also be a buffer between the rest of the nation and the Giants.
Yeah. Very generous.
We won't tell the elves that.
Oh no, he's more than happy to outline where he's offered and what's there, because he doesn't believe in lying to someone to make them do something to suit his own purposes. Of course, it's not a great location, but I'm sure it beats what's happening to their current one.
Indeed.
He can see at least one or two clans being able to settle there easily. Whether or not more come is up to how well Trellin can negotiate with the elves of Alfheim.
Yes.
Well, we'll discuss that when we return from Alphasia. Obviously, there might be a consideration exactly how many elves might consider their space for.
Pretty generous. It's like if you transplant all on the goblins of the Dimrak Forest, it's pretty good.
Oh, no, exactly. Absolutely, it's good. I'm just looking at the fact, well, the Dimrak Forest is certainly not as big as Alpine. So it would be a matter of exactly how many elves it can fit is the point.
Which is why he said maybe 1 to 2 clans, maybe.
That's right. And from the human perspective, hey, divide the elves up into smaller areas, and hey, they'll be a lot easier to take over later. I mean,
Just looking up the travelling rules for the rule set.
Got my flying carpet.
that's right. The flying ship's going to be more comfortable. The flying ship will lie out a bit more comfortably. Put the carpet down as a mat.
Shining, shimmering, splendid.
That would be why I couldn't find it. It was still on the shelf.
That'll make it more challenging.
Tell me, Trellin, now when did you last let your heart decide?
What?
Apparently, David is.
Carpet, Aladdin.
That's right. You obviously haven't seen Aladdin recently enough.
No, I haven't for 25 years.
Okay, so just so you're aware, Aladdin, one of the main famous songs from the movie Aladdin is A Whole New World. And Aladdin has a magic carpet, whole new world, yeah. Tell me, Trellin, when did you last let your heart decide? A whole new gnome.
Well, that fits because the carpet's called Cullen's Portable Home. Gnome, home.
A whole new gnome.
Okay,
A new
so
fantastic point of view.
he says the skyship he's got at your disposal is one of the fastest around.
Sorry, I missed it.
He says one of the fastest around.
The fastest around, okay, yeah.
Indeed, and it's captained by the great Al-Hadid.
Well, from what I understand, it's not surprisingly one of the fastest around because there certainly has been a diminishment in the total numbers of airships for a few years back.
That's rude. If you are the last flying ship around, you are also the fastest flying ship around.
Exactly. And if you're one of the last few, then you're one of the fastest.
Yeah.
But okay, either way, it'll certainly be a lot quicker than swimming.
He says that it was clocked at top speed of 400 miles a day.
Yeah, it does the Kessel run in 8 parsecs.
Well, it is indeed good that you had access to such a fine vessel.
He spared no expense.
Yeah. We'll aim to ensure that the expense is not wasted.
He very much appreciates that. Now I'm just trying to look up how long it's going to take you to travel where you're going.
Does he have any indication also of, let's say, Dimitri is confident that the total air fleet of the world certainly got diminished some time ago, but do we have any indication as to how many other airships are actually out there at the moment still?
There are quite a lot.
Okay. And whose flag does the ship fly under?
It is an independent. It has no
national affiliation?
No national affiliation.
You mean we sail under the flag of a privateer? That's not much better than a pirate.
Well, but it does mean that we're not necessarily going to be immediately attacked by Alphatia because it's apparently a Phyatran ship, or vice versa. And it does mean that, yes,
Yes,
we are...
But can you trust this very handsome pilot?
I'm sure we can trust him as far as the money lasts.
Yes, can't argue with that.
Yeah, but it also then means that, yes, we probably... Yes, we don't have to watch out for anyone specifically, just generally, while we're travelling.
Okay, just trying to see how well I can line up connecting you. There are various things that will do distance travel for us.
Okay, yeah.
Did he say up to 400 miles a day?
Yep.
That's pretty quick.
It's pretty quick, absolutely. Of course, not as quick as Dimitri's horse, but hey.
Shut up, nerd.
Yeah, his horse doesn't do quite so well running across ocean when it's got to be resummoned every hour.
Yeah, oh no, you might actually get wet.
Well, he can do the ritual quickly. It takes a minute, but let's say that might be a challenge for that 1 minute.
Just trying to see if I can actually get a decent map up to refer to. Unfortunately, I keep hitting the, yes, I really want to go to that place. And yes, I still really want to go to that place.
Are you sure you want that place?
Well,
are you really sure that's the place you want?
yes, I'm sure.
I do want to double check.
I want a double stab.
Okay, so it's sort of hard to read what I'm looking at, but yeah, it's sort of a hex map without actual lines.
Right. It's also on your one of the smaller images at the moment for the on the screen. Oh no, sorry, that was it. What can actually pick your head, I don't think. I guess one of the things is we want to take a reasonably wide berth of the Isle of Dawn at the present time.
Okay, so it's roughly 54 hexes of 72 miles.
About 11 days.
No, actually works out to 10 days.
Okay.
So it's works out to 3,888 miles, which comes out as 9.72 days.
Dimitri had to stop for a refuel.
Okay, so that will be the fastest anyone in this game has actually reached that location.
Well, without teleporting.
Nice.
Is that going a direct route that would take us over the Isle of Dawn?
It's going around the south of the island away from the battlefield.
Okay. Yeah, because I was going to say, I don't know necessarily, whilst we might be officially unflagged for those purposes, I'm not certain that we can fly directly through the battle between Alphatia and Flash right at this present time.
As fast as your ship is, it's still susceptible to ranged magic attacks.
Absolutely.
Not with that attitude, right, Jeremy?
So, he introduces you to the captain, who's known as Cedric Sid Harlock.
Cedric Sid Harlock.
Sid for
That's
short.
not going to appear to be a native Karameikos.
He is not. And obviously not a pirate, because he's not a Arendi or halfling.
I know who these Arendi are, but these halflings, I've never heard of them. What are they? Oh, you mean boring gnome? Yep.
He says the most feared pirates in the world are halflings. He hopes you get to meet some someday.
I believe we have, actually.
We're covered with the cook.
Yeah. He was more of an ass pirate, though.
Well, he hadn't served you any of your own limbs, so I think you did well.
Yeah. We were on good terms, friendly terms. He
Says, do you believe you're ready to go? Do you need anything else from him to be able to act on his behalf?
I'm assuming he's provided appropriate paperwork, documentation, authentication type stuff.
He is more than happy to provide you all the documentation you need.
Yep. Just confirm, has he whether he's had any contact with Alphatia at this stage, or?
He has preliminary contact in that he is hoping that they will be receptive.
Certainly, Dimitri will get the details of any previous conversations or contacts, or
He's got an agreement that
letters and stuff. So.
He's got an agreement that the Empress of the nation will meet with you and not kill you the moment you arrive.
Hey, a moment's introduction is all Dimitri needs. He can win them over after that point.
Can you? So when do you win us over?
Though he does warn you that most Alphatians are multi-elemental in nature, unlike most of the rest of the world, who are mono-element in nature.
And of course, the other big factor, Plumman, is mages are supreme there.
All spellcasters are supreme.
Well, I guess spells all the time. Haven't you seen?
Hey, the wizard who casts fists at every opportunity is an interesting spell.
Yes.
So he hopes you have a safe travel, especially with your bodyguard in Plumman, as you have mentioned in the past.
Yeah. And well, Captain Sid, we're not waiting for the tide.
Okay, so Sid is more than happy for you to get on board. He says it may not look like much, but it's got it where it counts.
Well, all the best. All the best vessels. Don't need to look pretty.
Okay, Barret, don't sell yourself too much. We've already paid.
And there is a bearfolk helmsman.
I was going to say, it's not a Wookiee.
No, bearfolk.
So another hairy
Yeah, I'm following with you, Jeremy. I'm absolutely following with you.
Absolutely.
And there is a teenage, young-looking gunner.
I'm waiting for the automatons.
I'm sure the gun is good at hitting wombats.
She says she can hit anything.
Indeed.
In Biggs Canyon?
She is happy to fly any time the others need a break, and most of them just shudder at the thought of her flying. Says if you get yourself below deck, he's sure he can have everything up and running in no time. Unfortunately,
don't get caught.
Unfortunately, he doesn't have space for horses, so you'll need to leave them behind.
Oh, that's okay. This one, it shrinks. Regem, if you remember, Regem actually turns into a figurine.
Yeah, and certainly, Dimitri's certainly not concerned about horses, so...
Dimitri should be concerned about being thrown overboard.
I'm sure he has feather fall. I'm assuming you do prepare feather fall before going.
Indeed, and fly.
And what was that, Martin?
I can fly low to the ground, so there's not much falling distance.
Yeah.
Okay, so he says he should be well above the conflict as he intends to fly at 20,000 feet.
Oh, okay.
Can we breathe that high? Not that I would know anything about that.
If he throws you off the side, you can tell him.
Okay.
So what's the apparent design of this ship? Are we talking like what appears to be a waterborne vessel that floats in the sky, or? Yep.
Going to switch over to that picture so you can actually see that is what it looks like from above.
And that is a deck that people can be standing on?
It is a deck that you can stand on. Each of those squares should be 5 feet, but it doesn't give me a scale.
That's right. It brought the idea of that, hey, because if we're flying that high, Dimitri might take the opportunity to do a bit of some astronomical measurements where the atmosphere is thinner.
And you can actually see it has magic plus mechanical propulsion. So it's Magitech.
Dimitri, having recently spent a month in the spaceship, is certainly keen to pick up extra tech and things. So, during the 10-day travel, he's going to be poking his nose where everybody wants it, because it's Dimitri. And
how does Dimitri feel about his new broken nose?
and obviously quickly be able to provide advice and improvements and guidance on how they can go better.
Okay, looking at it, give me an engineering roll.
If you blow the ship up, I'm going to be pissed.
before or after we get there?
After's fine.
After fine? Oh, okay. 13... 24.
24. Looking at it, you're actually quite surprised that the mechanics behind it is a little bit beyond what you've learned.
Presumably different from what I've learned on the fact that I can't imagine it's really in front of the the vessel that he just spent a month on working with Redrian. Even if that was a bit behind Redrian's thought process, I have a feeling it's probably still ahead of this ship.
Well, this ship doesn't use the same sort of propulsion. It actually combines magic and technology, whereas Redrian's one is purely tech.
Yeah, that's right. But that's it. It certainly, it's a new and interesting topic of knowledge that Dimitri is more than happy and interested to find out more of.
And it's known as a Griffin Wind class airship designed by the gnomes.
Mm.
This ship itself is about 4,000 years old.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was going to be a mammalian class freighter.
And
The ship's name is the Nomelian Falcon. The Nomelian Peregrine.
I'm sure that would come in handy if it was, but it is known as just looking back up again, the Wave Rider.
Nice.
Plumman looks to Dimitri, then looks back to the name of the ship, and then just leans in and says, "Why would they call it Wave Rider if it doesn't go on water?"
Well, okay. Me as a player is immediately thinking, oh, hang on, have we got Drackle with us? The Wave Rider would be perfect for Drackle.
One of the crew does overhear you and says, the waves it's talking about is not water.
Ah, yes. The waves of stupidity in naming an airship the Wave Rider. Okay, got it.
No, Carmen, you see, there's more of the world that actually take waves in it up than just water. You go into the other excess of the it'll light if you look at it in certain matters, take waves.
Ah, right. No. I'm now experiencing waves of anguish hearing you talk.
It had to be done.
And it can land on the water.
But hopefully not for the next couple of weeks.
When on the water, it looks like just a normal ship without sails.
Imagine the poor drunk guy who saw that happen.
But it does have enough capacity to take 10 days at full speed.
Oh, no refueling required, huh?
No refueling required without, as long as they have their mage on board keeping it powered.
It's actually fed by the souls of mages.
You're a magic person, aren't you? They turn and say.
Yes, but I don't have souls, so it's okay.
And they said, welcome to the club.
I'm concerned. Turns out you're all tapped out then.
Okay, so again, Carmen, you want to be careful about making jokes about soul eatings, considering the current forces of the Master at the present time.
I'll bite my soul.
And that the power of most of these vessels is technically soul powered. I'm sure you have some spare to give. Okay, so 10 days later, after witnessing the world slowly revolve below you, you find yourself descending into Alphatia. Though it does take it many hours to reach the ground.
And I'm assuming that we're travelling over Alphatia for a while before, because the capital, I seem to recall, is sort of
In the center.
in the middle of the landmass.
You're probably travelling over it for about a day or two, no more than that. Because at travelling at 400 miles a day, it can actually traverse much of the island.
Oh yeah, no, okay. It's more just, like in Dimitri, Alphatia is one place that he hasn't necessarily explored too much of, except for a certain area of the coastline. Yeah, he'll certainly be interested in making the effort to memorise any of the maps and things like that might be on board. And confirm with Sid that he's hanging around after he docks us off, and how we're getting to arrange contact again or things like that kind of stuff. So hopefully this negotiation shouldn't take more than a few days, but it may take some time to get in to see the Empress.
Well, he's planning on seeing what sort of upgrades he can get to his ship while he's there.
Certainly understand the Alphatians are renowned for their airship armada, or at least they were.
Though, considering the age of his ship, he is quite surprised about how much it outstrips nearly every other flying ship in the fleet. It's not as strong, but it is faster. He
who lives to fly away another day.
That it does. So you arrive on the 11th day of the month. Arriving in Sudsville.
Sudsville?
Yes. That is the capital of Alphatia.
Oh, okay, right. Remembering that's where I think that I knew the name because it was one that I put in for Black Nimbus downtime when they were stuck in Sudsville for the downtime, and I thought I hadn't actually registered to be the capital. So.
Yes, as you're coming in, you can actually still see the burnt devastation for many miles around the city as you come down. Looks like about a 5-mile radius centered on the city itself is still being rebuilt.
I'm assuming we're not necessarily seeing a waiting armada of airships ready for another fireball to come through.
There is the gnomish city is actually on the ground. You've never seen it not flying. It has actually crushed part of the city.
Mm-hmm.
So it's no wonder the gnomes have put out a call for help.
Indeed. I hadn't realised I was stuck in Alphatia. So. They could have gone down. So.
They were actually there at the time of the burning of the sky. Which is why most of the gnomish stuff had fallen into disuse, because their main form of communication was through the floating city. Because it would transport most of the information around and a majority of their goods. So coming in for landing at the Alphatian air docks, you seem to be one of about 5 airships that are currently docked here. most of the others show signs of freshly being rebuilt. Which, considering most of the airships had a heart that it was built around that was centuries old. You can see the skeletal remains of thousands of airships in the fields around Alphatia.
Wonder how that happened. During the 10-day trip, are we able to talk to Sid, the captain, much, or
Yep,
first mate, or navigator, or?
He's happy to talk to you, as are the others. So, on the trip, what do you want to talk to him about?
Well, okay. I mean, obviously from Derek's perspective, learning about new talks and pieces, but also part of that process is whether or not he's had any first-hand or second-hand news on how the war between Alphatia and Thyation actually goes at the present time, and whether he's actually been spending any time around the Isle of Dawn, or as an independent, he's completely avoided that sort of area and has limited knowledge.
He's travelled a lot through Norwald and heard rumours through there, as that is where his home port is. But the fact that the Alphatian land-based army has started taking over the Isle of Dawn means that the war versus Thyatus is definitely in Alphatian's favour. He expects that in about a year or two they will make it to the mainland of Baroon and potentially make their way south from Norwald, as they do have a holding in Norwald.
Something that's going to go in my head, it's just it's gone from my head. No, can't think what I can we'll talk about. Bugger. Oh, that's right, yes. How much does Sid know about the mission from Duke Karameikos?
Not a huge amount. He's just been hired for transportation to get you there and back.
Okay, happy with that.
To be honest, the less he knows about what you're up to, the safer it is for him.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it was also just as much the idea of, yes, having noted that his home port's in Norwald, and that's where he's normally come from, because, yeah, that was part of the question was, okay, where did Stefan found this guy? And has he had any connection with Karameikos, and therefore does Stefan have any trust in him or things like that? I'm more than happy it's a case of it's a pure courier engagement.
He does talk about how he is part of the Traldarian enclave up there. So he has connections back to the people of Karameikos, Darakin, and Galantry.
Ah, okay.
They are all distantly related, all the Traldarans.
Yep.
There are also Traldarans found in Minrathad and Arendi, but not in large numbers, as they didn't have a lot migrate south onto the islands before they broke away.
Yeah. Yes, the Traldar did get around originally.
They did. Considering they are descendants of the Nithians, he says, and he believes that part of the ship was based on a Nithian design.
If the topic of lithium comes up during the thing, D'Amico was certainly interested to hear that if Sid has much knowledge or legends of that and whether or not Norwald and the Kaldar up there have much legends, because there's not many places around that can talk knowledgeable of anything. So D'Amico would be interested if he has had knowledge, whether it's just generic rumour and ancient belief.
Let me see, I'm just looking up the actual name of the country he will talk to you about. He says he has had a lot of working with the kingdom of Thothia. They still speak Nithian and practice a lot of the ancient Nithian magics. And it was through their help that he was able to get this vessel moving as fast as it does. He has not met their match in magic yet, and he has travelled far.
And so the kingdom of Thothia is up around Norwald way, is it?
It's on the Isle of Dawn.
Okay.
But on the Arthatian side, not the Phaeton side.
Yeah.
He recommends after the war visiting there, but not during the war because, well, as much as you'd be welcomed, you wouldn't really want to join the war effort by being that close to the front lines.
It was certainly something that, yes, Dimitri had already made that decision and thought the initial thought of, maybe we can stop by on the way back. We won't be quite visiting ours by that point, so assuming our mission goes according to timetable.
He says that the big thing about their magics is they still practice the hieroglyphic runology. So the magic of pictograph writing, which has been lost by everyone else.
Well, certainly the vast majority of people.
Well, you do know that the Nithian culture inside the Hollow World do not remember that.
Okay.
Part of their culture was lost to them, which they had angered the gods with.
Mm-hmm.
And the ability to use their pictographic runes was one of them.
And obviously that's a different form of runology compared to the dwarven runic runology.
He does have a working knowledge of many of their runic peoples. He says there's the giant runes, which are unique in their own sort. There's the dwarven runes. There are the Norse runes gifted by Odin. And the Nithian runes, which are probably the oldest of the runes out there.
Absolutely.
Between it, the giant, and the Norse ones, they date back before most people can remember.
Mm-hmm.
Just that most of the world has never heard of Nithia or Thothia.
Well, certainly the conversation is intrigued Dimitri such that maybe he's not spending quite so much time studying the technology of this ship. If he's trying to talk to the captain about other bits and pieces, then he's certainly putting the time in there too.
So yes, the captain is quite happy to talk you through much of the tech that has made the ship work and where he's been. So he has travelled most of the globe. So he can point you towards stuff you have not actually seen before.
Oh.
So he actually brings out a pulls out of his thing a map of the outer world.
Nice.
Showing a rough, considering the scale of it, look of how the world looks.
Now, I'm guessing that in Dimitri's travels and researches, he's probably seen some such maps before, but this is obviously unusually held in individuals' hands, which is certainly quite happy to view.
And you can see the various places on there, sort of showing how dwarfed the place you actually come from is compared to the rest of the world.
Yes. Dimitri is aware that the so-called known world is only a very, very, very small part of.
So if people can actually see where the mouse pointer is on there, because I'm moving it slightly, there is a mountain range right next to. Let me see if I can make it a mountain range right under where that was. On the very corner there, that is roughly where you came from.
Okay.
And
yes.
you flew to the middle of here by going south and then north. So you came outside the path of the battle. And when you talk about Alphatia is this continent, this Belarusia, and half of the Isle of Dawn is known as the Alphatian Empire, where the Theatan Empire is basically south of the mountain range, including part of the Jungle Coast, and then back up through the Isle of Dawn. Is considered Theatan territory. Though Theatis did once contain everything up to the mountain range on the far side of that's coming down all the way from the north of the eastern side, but it has been pushed back. It did turn all of those tribes into nations, so people do credit Theatis with making the nations. Just glad that they've left them alone. So great, you gave us our bureaucracy, now bugger off.
Okay. You've given us roads, now go away.
And yes, so did anyone else want to discuss anything with the captain and the crew? Gunnar is more than happy to discuss how they can hit targets from quite a distance away, even though they're no more than 2 meters in length.
I'd like to.
Yeah, she keeps describing how she can hit anything with her weaponry.
Is magic involved?
She says, of course magic's involved. If magic's not involved, I think you've got on the wrong ship.
Right.
That she doesn't know anything that can fly without magic. She believes the gnomes are lying when they say that they built things that just use science. Because she thinks science really is another name for magic.
Yeah.
Any technology sufficiently advanced. So to challenge her to a shooting match?
No, I'm just asking for a explanation.
Oh, no, because what's the range of the weapons?
The range of the weapons are... Okay, they can hit a target at about 3,000 feet.
Slightly beyond challenge bow range. But not that far beyond.
Well, 1,500, yeah.
Okay, it's only double.
And the weapons themselves will, on a base hit, do about 85 points of damage.
About the same as Fallon.
And triple that on a critical hit.
Well, that might be a bit over. Yeah.
And the array.
Shot, so.
An array of weapons can actually be fired as a single shot, making 3 shots hit the same target. And if you critically hit with those 3 hits, then it would be 3 times 3.
Painful.
And it's
Definitely out of my range.
And it's not considered the most powerful weapon in the Alphatian Armada. It's enough to damage one of their skyships, not enough to take it down.
Would take down.
Don't be too experienced, Colin. I bet you can't carry it on her back over her shoulder.
So it is considered a manta railgun, she says. And their biggest defense is an anti-magic force field they can bring up around the vessel, because a majority of attacks are magical in nature. It can even stop a dragon's breath weapon.
Right.
If they work out a way to attack an anti-magic field onto one of the bolts that gets fired by the railgun, and to then take out the magic of the ship they shoot at.
That they do say that such weapons do exist, except doing so may actually rip a hole in space and time, because the engines in these vessels aren't things you really want to expose to anti-magic.
And you also want to be really careful about where you set it off when you're about to fire.
Yes. So being able to take down another vessel is not their purpose. Being able to take out the things that come from above is more of their concern. At this height, you're more fearful of what's coming from outside the world than what's on the world. As she starts to describe a weird variety of aberrations that travel through space.
Yes, on the back of asteroids, then fall down onto small islands.
Oh, she's more referring to athilids and Githyanki and other form of Gith that come out of the astral space above the world itself, as they can't enter the astral space in the world due to the Guardians stopping them from being able to materialize too close to the planet.
Okay.
She says most of this is taught in basic schooling in Alphatia. She's sure that if you signed up, you could get a working knowledge of how the planes and the world interact. It's normally a 8th grade class.
Would 14 intelligence cover it?
He said, "Oh, hey, that should be more than enough to learn what's there. As long as you can read and write, you're bound to be able to learn what they can teach."
Okay.
So anyone who serves on any of these sky ships are required to get their planner license. Otherwise, you will not know how to deal with the threats you face while flying.
So is this? Did we get a name for this gunner?
The gunner is she's known as Rutty Rightway.
Ratty Rightway.
Rutty, not Ratty. R-U-T-Y.
R-U-T-Y. Sorry, yep.
As she says, there's always a right way to do things, and that's my way.
Sounds like Dimitri's.
No.
And they have a
And she's a female human, apparently.
She appears to be a female human.
Yeah. Does she appear to be Alphasian?
She does appear to be Alphasian because she does have multiple elements to her. So that's her as the picture in the book on the skyship.
He's a looker.
Okay.
Was Captain Sid was seemingly human? He said his home port was Norwald.
So he is also human, though you do find out that he was once a pirate and ended up in prison at some point in his past.
Okay. But are we talking human Norwalden or Alphasian or?
He is of Alphasian descent.
Alphasian as well, yeah.
But does not consider himself Alphasian.
Mm-hmm. Because, hey, they might be the ones that he originally had that misunderstanding with.
It was an Alphasian prison he spent 10 years in.
Yeah. And our not Wookiee but Bearfolk friend.
The Bearfolk calls himself Rin.
Rin.
Though Rin has adopted the captain into his clan, so they both share the same name of Harlock.
Rin Harlock. I called it Sid Harlock, was it?
It is
I missed the
Sid
surname
Harlock
the
as well.
first time.
But that's okay.
Right. So, Sid Harlock. Rin Harlock, Bearfolk is the ship's pilot, effectively, or navigator?
Is the first mate.
First mate. Okay.
First mate and helmsman.
Yeah, well, first mate out of 3. Out of a crew of 3, yes.
Oh, there are another 2 crewmen on board.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Though one of them is a goblin mechanic known as Darrow.
What was that, sorry?
Darrow, the goblin mechanic.
Darrow.
And Aston Cartwright, the wizard.
Okay, so the engineer, effectively, for the crew.
Pretty much, yes. Engineer. Who doesn't discuss how things work because you have to join his guild to learn his secrets, he says.
Mm-hmm. And Aspen appears to be human Alphasian, I'm guessing?
He is a gnome.
Gnome.
Which is understandable considering the vessel is of gnomish design.
Yep. So when you said that Rin Harlock was Bearfolk,
Yep.
and obviously seemingly hairy like a bear, I'm guessing, like you literally appear to be Bearfolk. In the sense that we're talking Atruaghin type Bearfolk, or we're talking some other?
He matches the Atruaghin Bearfolk, but born and trained in Alphatia.
Okay.
As Alphatian doesn't care who you are, they will happily absorb everyone into their nation.
Yeah.
So he comes from a group, a family of bear folk living within Alphatia itself.
So Atruaghin descent, but Alphatian born and raised.
Not particularly Atruaghin descent. He's from bear folk that didn't associate with Atruaghin.
Oh, okay, right, yep.
Just that Atruaghin is one of the few places in the world they're treated as equals.
Yep.
You get the feeling that there aren't many places that will understand his speech, let alone treat him fairly.
Mm-hmm.
At which point you actually realise him is actually a her, but she doesn't actually correct people and just lets everyone think she's a he.
Mm-hmm.
Because she knows most people have trouble dealing with bear folk to begin with, let alone a female giant.
Well, it's also the idea is the fact that most humans can't tell the female dwarf, let alone a female bear.
Especially with all that fur. So yes, you make it to Alphatia, and at the dock you see that the only flying vessels at this stage seem to be of gnomish design.
Mm-hmm.
Having seen what the Alphatian skyships look like, you think most of them were taken down by the magic and might need to be rebuilt from the ground up. And from Captain Harlock, you understand that most of the ships took 5 to 10 years to build if they were built quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a fast process.
And it's been about 2 years since some terrorist came along and blew up 3/4 of the fleet. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
I'll get the exact date at a later point, but roughly that.
Oh, no, it was more just I was thinking that was a level 10 thing, so I was thinking, yeah, it's been about 10 years, 2 years, so that's certainly fine.
I believe it was level 9.
I've got a level 9 thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Anyway.
about 3 years ago.
Yep. And then obviously there've been whatever things they had managed to rebuild and recover and get back again have then been potentially damaged further during the wars in the last 12 months or so.
Though they do say that the people who started the burning have their bodies on display in the city centre.
I'm glad to hear the terrorists got caught.
Which means Dimitri has a sudden understanding that his body is actually in the city centre.
Well, the assumption was the fact that, yes, they burned something in the city centre. They burned some culprits to ensure the government was able to say, yes, look, we found the terrorists. Now we'll burn them. Before anyone asks any questions, we'll get a close look.
Oh, you know you were time skipping at that stage, and you only jumped through time when you died.
Mm-hmm.
So your bodies are in at least 4 different places of the world currently.
Hey.
What?
It's generous of Dimitri to spread himself around.
When you did the time skips previously, when you're jumping around, you actually left bodies behind.
I can't remember. The end of each loop was basically the TPK.
Yeah.
So it's not very often you get to keep playing after a TPK, but that was one of those times.
Actually, I think though, officially it was only the person whose actual trip it was needed to die, wasn't it?
That was correct. But didn't mean the others didn't die as well.
Yeah, I didn't think we all died most of the time though. So
you weren't guaranteed
Sorry, guys.
to.
Just have to go and get dinner.
That's okay. I'm just going to duck off to the bathroom again. Oh, sorry about that.
It's all right. You didn't necessarily mix much, David. We were going through some background knowledge and information about the warship, the airships, and the crew,
Cool.
and
Sounds
all
lame and
sorts of
boring.
things. Yeah.
Sounds lame, boring, and irrelevant.
Yeah. But yes, we did just get news apparently that the bodies of the terrorists who burnt the Alsatian fleet a few years ago are still on display in the centre of town.
Yeah, right.
And Martin was just reminding us the fact that, well, yes, technically most of us died on most of the leaps. Yeah, well, okay. I remember the fact that, yes, we only the individual whose loop it was had to die, and some of them we got away on, but yeah. But otherwise, yes, we've arrived in the capital of Alsatia, and Sid Harlock has dropped us off.
Oh. Okay, so there are quite a few gnomes here wanting to check your credentials. They look quite official.
Okay.
They even have clipboards.
What
okay.
are our credentials?
So obviously we've got the documentation, things like that from Karameikos. And when we were talking, Dimitri was getting reviewing and memorising or copying all the correspondence and things like that had gone on between Stefan and the Empress or her representative. Does that have a name that we can drop at the present time as to who we should meet first?
Well, it shows that you have a arranged meeting with the Empress of the nation.
Okay. I'm guessing the signature on the sort of thing on the bottom of that correspondence is going to be like a seneschal or some equivalent type stuff. But
It was actually important enough that the Empress herself signed it.
ooh, okay. That certainly means that she's that much more likely to at least consider the discussions anyway. So, and they shouldn't catch her by surprise when we walked in and said, "Oh, hang on, yeah." Stefan said you're interested in coming through. Who the? In which case, then, talking to these officials, we will give the okay. Dimitri and Crallon, or like I say, Dimitri will step forward and introduce Crallon. Plowman will be expected to be standing in the background at the moment, looking menacing, as the bodyguard should.
He's looking so goddamn menacing right
now. Especially now.
Well, then they're mostly gnomes, so whatever.
And yes, confirm who he is and provide the documentation and credentials. So yes, please show us the way to the palace.
Okay, he pulls out a couple of stamps and stamps your paperwork.
Cool.
Yep.
You're not exactly sure why he's stamping your paperwork, but he seems happy to have done so.
When in Rome, deal with Roman customs. Or Greece in this case.
And he gestures to what looks like a round ball sitting on the top of a tube.
Okay.
Take the transport system to the palace, and I'm sure you'll be seen whenever they're free.
Does Dimitri recognise or have any concept of this transportation system?
You believe it has something magic or mechanical involved, but you've never seen it before. Give me a engineering check.
Obviously, it's looking from a distance initially, so that's a flash. 8 plus 19 total.
Well, whatever it is, it must work. You're just not exactly sure how it does so.
Okay. But is it like I said,
It has seats inside it.
yeah. Is there anybody else actually approaching it or going, like coming out of it, or go, like say just yeah, like are we imagining this is sort of like a pod that is designed to carry a small group of people, or is it?
It looks like it has seats for about 20.
Okay, and there are more people entering and getting on board or getting off or things like that?
No one seems to be using it at this stage. You don't think that much sky travel is actually happening right now.
Okay. Is it occupied by anybody? Does it have a driver or a controller?
It does not.
Okay.
I'm sure Dimitri can handle it.
Well, I mean, at this stage it'll be a case of we're looking at it from a bit of a distance, I'm assuming. So it's we'll get closer and see what we can find out. So grab up all the gear and talk to Sid and confirm that where he's likely to hang out, what his plans are, things like that, to arrange a meeting afterwards. I think you could probably go with message or something like that if there's not other easy communication systems.
He hands you a sending stone and says, normally when he's waiting for someone, he uses this to communicate with.
All good.
He says, are you sure you can figure out how to use it?
I'll add it to my collection. And then we'll go up to this apparent transportation pod, and if we can determine exactly what we're looking at, what we need to do to make it go, or
there are a bunch of arcane scroll on a control panel, and it seems that you enter the destination via the Alphatian language.
Dimitri will enter the destination, because obviously he can speak, read and write Alphatian very well. So, if it turns out there's some sort of system that needs a drop-down function or sort of connects okay, do I want to put in Alphatian Palace? Do I want Emperor's Palace? Do I want the Palace? But yeah, I'm sure Dimitri can make it work.
So after a few attempts, you finally settle on Imperial Palace. As there seems to be hundreds of palaces that you can reach.
Okay, and that was the idea of if there was sort of effectively a menu of locations, then that's what I'd be looking for. So, we'll select Imperial Palace.
Well, it was if you didn't enter in a destination that was uniquely identifiable, it just said gave you the number of destinations that matched your input.
Yeah.
So it says 10 destinations match that input. You type in another one. 5 destinations match that input. And it says 1 destination matches that input, and then it accepts it for you and your passengers.
Marvelous.
You think that was by design, so people who aren't familiar with the place can't go to places that they don't know what the destination is.
So, just like in this world, you don't necessarily know what things are labelled under. So,
and it also keeps the guild of destination keepers busy, though they don't currently have one on the top of the airship tower at this stage.
No one's in the ATC, huh?
Yep. They haven't had a need for a while because this is the first airship that has arrived this month. Which is surprising considering they would get about 100 airships a day at the height of their fleet.
Yeah.
That's how bad things are for them.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear they got those terrorists.
So you find yourself dropping like a ball going down a hole. As the transit system, you just see it through the outside, but you feel no movement.
Cool.
As the world just whizzes by. I'm sure Plumman is more distressed than anything else about not feeling the ground or the effects of movement as everything rushes past.
Yeah, no, Plumman's really not happy about it.
You haven't got the rhythm of the galloping horse beneath you.
No.
You're just moving without moving.
Yeah, no. I don't have my C legs. I've only got my B legs.
Yeah, it feels as if you're stationary and the world's moving to suit your needs.
Yeah, this 100% sucks.
Dimitri will explain it to you if you like. It'll make you feel much better.
Not just a flying carpet as a comparison.
Plumman's happy to voluntarily fail a check to vomit if he can vomit towards Dimitri.
I'll stay away from Dimitri.
Okay, so Dimitri's arcane shield gets covered in stuff.
Yep.
In projectiles, but unfortunately none of it lands on Dimitri.
And then back to the station to clean up. I thought you had a stronger stomach, Plumman.
I thought you were a rational human being. Well, I did get one point.
Yes, exactly. Very rational. But yeah, so I'm guessing that we'll arrive at our destination fairly quickly.
It takes about 10 minutes of the world moving by as you sit still.
Yep.
And then as it comes to a stop, you find that you're at a platform in a large, elaborate transit area. Everything seems to be made of white marble threaded with gold and platinum.
Do we appear to be effectively indoors or underground, or are we actually outdoors and being able to see further?
You seem to be fairly low in the city, being able to see the palace rising about 20 feet at the closest point to you away, but rising up to over 1,000 feet in height.
Okay, yeah. So it does look like we've effectively arrived at the commercial or the public drop-off point of the palace. So, is it busy at this location compared to the airport?
You can see thousands of people here.
Yeah.
But there is on display away from the palace some pillars of glowing light that showcase forms just suspended in the air. One of them looks familiar.
I was going to say, we will take a discreet look at these forms just to see exactly what's apparently there.
You see floating in the air Dimitri, Plumman, and Bradshaw.
I hate this so much.
Though,
I'm trying to remember exactly how that particular time we finished, because I thought that Bradshaw certainly died and it was his mission, wasn't it? Or was it Plumman's mission?
I'm not exactly sure whose mission it was, because it was such a long time ago, and unless you kept notes.
Well, for me to be case going back through notes and checking it, but but yeah, I couldn't remember exactly how whether that one was a TPK finish.
That one was a TPK finish.
That was a TPK, yeah. Okay.
Specifically, that one was.
Yep. And so.
It does have a write up next to each of the bodies, saying that their souls have moved on and weren't available to be brought back to stand trial for their crimes.
And do they have any identification information about them?
They do list your name and age at death.
Yeah.
So you apparently happen to have the same name as the terrorist.
I'm
sure that's just a coincidence.
And some similar features, although at least one of those terrorists had red hair, whereas Dimitri's is very clearly, it's like he had short red hair, but Dimitri's very clearly got quite long black hair at the moment. So.
Yeah, I'm sure it was not you, just a relative. You all seem to be named Dimitri after all.
We don't call him Dimitri. We don't call him Dimitri at all. We call him asshole.
But there's also a Plarman and a Bradshaw and...
No Trellin.
I was going to say, but you said there were 4 of them, wasn't there one other?
No, there were only 3 hanging.
Only 3 hanging, okay.
The 4th one is basically a memorial to those who died.
Right. And
you can see thousands of names scrolling through.
And the what am I thinking of? So the description for Plarman also had his full name and reasonably accurate description and appearance.
It does have a fairly accurate description and appearance of Plarman.
Okay. So all we've got to do is do an alter image or polymorph on Trellin to turn him into Bradshaw, and we'll be fine. Right. Well, we'll aim to quietly move away from the memorial, and
there seems to be a tour guide nearby talking about the horrible people that these people were to cause such massive death and destruction before they too lost their lives in the ensuing inferno that they started. So Dimitri will encourage the other 2 to let's just find a bit of a quiet spot, slightly out of the way, less conspicuous, and privately wondering, man, I wouldn't have thought there was anything left of our body from what happened. You think you believe that they used magic to reconstruct, but couldn't bring the spirits back to them. As luckily, your spirits had moved on.
And obviously there was enough documentation or equipment left behind that they were able to get some information about names and details.
They were able to divine those details from the remains.
Yeah.
Just that they couldn't contact the spirits and confirm everything.
Yep. Or convict them.
Well, they were convicted after death,
Yes.
But there was no sentencing because, well, they were already dead. And it was stated that if it was possible, they would the gnomes themselves would have consumed their souls and used it to power some of the fleet they destroyed.
So, talking to the others, Ivan and Colin, I'm saying the fact that maybe we don't necessarily want to go straight in to see the Empress right now. So, possibly a slight change of appearance and demeanour might be advantageous. The documentation that Stefan provided, did that name or describe his representatives, his emissaries?
It only used surnames. Didn't actually use first names.
Okay. And did it state exactly how many emissaries were coming?
One and his staff.
Right. So, Colin, congratulations.
What?
Congratulations on being the Karameikos ambassador to Alphasia.
Okay.
Is that Colin Demetrios, I should say? What was the surname that they gave?
I believe it was Dimitros.
The Relin Silverleaf would be what I would have said, but
Yeah, no. This is the fact of the correspondence that Duke Karameikos had been having with the Empress, and the documentation that he provided as our identification for being his representatives
would probably be Lord Dimitros and Lord Silverleaf.
right.
Okay, so it does have two separate personnel as opposed to one and staff.
And there would also be Lord Dugan for Bradshaw. But and basically the three of you would have authority to speak on Karameikos' behalf.
Okay. But the implication being that all three have authority, but only one is actually required?
Only one is required, yes.
Yes. So Dimitri's talking to Colin and saying, yes, well, congratulations on becoming Karameikos ambassador to Alphasia.
Yep.
It would be best if Plum and I were less conspicuous in any discussions or processes within the palace and or with the Empress.
I am a beacon of discretion.
Though there is talks about how they are less than a month and a half away from, just over a month away from their planned day of mourning for what happened 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Dimitri will confirm that the others have realised, particularly Colin in this case, since he's going to be ambassador. Ideally, it would be best if you went in alone and did not have any direct connection with Plum or myself. My concern is that Duke Karameikos may have been a little optimistic with his interpretation of the Empress's desire to have a face-to-face discussion and meeting with the envoys of Karameikos. If the names of said potential envoys had already been passed forward, does it look like he had warning of the envoys beforehand?
Only said was said envoys, not who they were.
Okay, so just the documentation now, but actually has our names on it.
That is correct.
Ah, okay, that's easy then. That just then requires some potential slight modification for the documentation. Dimitri's original days as being a sage and a scribe and a calligrapher will come in handy. Yes, I suspect that if you saw this documentation in its current form, it might be a problem for she may well have some recollection of the names Dimitrios, Dugan, what's Plowman's surname?
Goranov.
Goranov, yes. Especially when they're put together. That was Jeremy thinking. I know it's a name that comes up all the time, but yes, I did have a mental blank. Dimitri certainly wouldn't have paused on the name.
Unless, of course, it was for dramatic effect.
It's about to be used to murderous effect.
But no, Dimitri right now is more trying to think quickly about the process of bits and pieces, because whilst yes, we can potentially modify these documents to indicate names that we would like or remove names that we don't like, it might be slightly more difficult potentially based upon exactly which documents the customs official stamped.
Well, you've got one for each of the lords has their own documentation to be able to present to say that they are the official representative.
Oh, okay. So it's not one piece of paper that has multiple names on it.
It is each document is for an individual only, because, well, they wouldn't want the paper to go missing with a different person.
And obviously, there's also the fact that Duke Stefan Karameikos couldn't be absolutely certain who might show up on the arrive having asked for us, but so effectively we can we could just provide the palace only with Terrell and Silverleaf's specific documentation and have Plumman and Dimitri effectively nameless. Is that the potential option?
You can simply be advisors.
Yeah.
It could be Trell and Silverleaf and advisors.
Yeah. Then the only question is, as I say, exactly how much notice or care the customs official might have taken when looking at the names on paperwork and stuff.
To be honest, if there was a problem, they would have dealt with you then and there.
It's certainly something that, like I said, Dimitri was quite privately thinking, well, yep, if he had been paying attention to the names, probably the name could have rang a bell in his head immediately. So the fact that it didn't, we did get past him, I think we're probably okay.
From the customs perspective, if he recognised the names, he would have thought, how unfortunate you have the name of terrorists.
Yeah, but he might have still been suspicious about the idea of, how unfortunate you've got that. How unfortunate you've got that. How unfortunate you. What the?
Yeah, but none of them were put on the no-fly list because they were all technically dead, unrecoverable.
Mm.
So being dead unrecoverable means they're not looking for those people. It's just unfortunate
not
you share
looking
their
for them.
names.
But it would be. I expect raised suspicions in someone's mind saying, "Hang on, you've got the name. You've got the same name as that person, and you've got a friend with the same name as that person, and in fact, you look kind of familiar." So, as I said, I'm happy enough that now that we know the potential danger we might have been in, the fact that we've got past it means that that's not an obstacle anymore.
And
fortunately.
none of those that were killed had the name Lord associated with them. They had no titles. They were seen as nuisance, not people of position or authority.
Yeah. But even so, I think it's potentially better to that Karameikos effectively send a single envoy. Although admittedly, they'd probably prefer a mage, wouldn't they?
They would prefer a spellcaster.
Well, okay. Dimitri does.
Whiz up a polymorph other or polymorph self.
Well, he certainly can do quite some effective magic on himself to do it, but considering the land that we're in, it is likely that any magic of that sort of style would possibly melt off if you went into the palace, into the third room. But as I say, he does look. His normal appearance these days is a bit different to what it was back then, because, as I say, he's got the wig of styling that gives him black hair and longer black hair as opposed to the short red hair. He probably doesn't want to expose the scars on the side of his head as well. That's probably they might think of that as scars of being burning. And certainly Demetrios is definitely a very common name for where he comes from. So
Okay.
So Lord Demetrios is probably okay, as long as he doesn't necessarily go with Dimitri or anybody else uses the term Dimitri.
As if.
Why would anyone use your real name? That's just crazy talk.
Plumman, I suspect it's better that you remain the bodyguard and staff to ensure the safety of the envoys.
Plyman doesn't say anything. And then he goes and finds some robes that he can just hide under.
Yeah.
Guys will hand you some nice big thick robes.
We have Guzzle with us.
It smells slightly of badly cooked pancakes.
Yeah, it's better than what Plyman's clothes usually smell like.
So I'll just trying to think of another common Keldaran first name or Russian first name.
Ivan
will do. Ivan Demetrios. or Ivan Demetrios.
I was going to say, unless you
Or
want to be
Ivan
ironic
Declare.
like my parents and call your son essentially John. They call him Ivan John. And Ivan is so common in Russia that he might as well have been called John.
Yes. So we'll go with Ivan Demetrios, or Lord Ivan Demetrios, and Lord Krallen Silvertongue, and
What?
I'm very unhappy about that.
Oh, sorry. Silver leaf. Slip of the tongue.
Okay.
I told you Belak was in this universe, Martin.
Well, no, but I said the silver tongue's got around.
They will happily
Not
sleep
necessarily-
with anything. We know that.
Not necessarily Ballath, but silver tongue certainly get around. And Mika will look across at Draxel and say, "Are you known around here?"
Drazzle just shrugs. He's always very helpful in letting you know things.
Is one of you others known around here?
He just shrugs.
Is your appearance like to be recognised?
He says he's just here to chronicle.
Yes. But times we have been places where you've been known.
He says no one will interfere with him here.
Not this time, anyway. So, okay then. So, yes, Dimitri will say Ivan will take some time to set his clothes better and ensure it's all perfectly clean and neat, and we will approach the palace, the Imperial Palace, to try and find the next functionary to presumably hopefully get rooms for the night or rooms for the time we're staying here, as opposed to trying to find somewhere else we're staying. So.
Okay, as you're lining up, you see that the people ahead of you are signing their name into a entry book.
Is there a security staff or a reception or anything like that that's taking note or maintaining the orderly state of the queue and or writing directions or anything?
Well, you can see some of the Alphatian military in the corridor, making everyone, stay in line and behave.
Yep.
With some of them actually being troll-sized.
Well, it's important to have decent security staff.
And as you're about 3 from the book itself, you hear a sound of trumpets, and the person who just signed the book seems to be encased in some sort of resilient sphere. And then raised up and taken away by one of the guards.
But they did not appear to be particularly triumphant trumpets.
Sounded more like
Ruga.
it sounded more like the failed noise you get on computers when you do the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
Down, down. And one of the people in front of you says, well, that's what he gets for putting the wrong thing down in the book.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh?
And by the time you reach the head of the queue, you see that the book there has space for people to write who they are and what they're there for.
Okay. Let's say Carlin shouldn't have any particular problem writing it down.
And he states that all who enter must sign the book.
So that's what I'm saying. Like everyone has to sign. Because I was going to say, including staff and things like that. So,
Do you think it's part of the Imperial security process?
Yep. So, okay. So, presumably, Stalin gets kicked down without the problem. Ivan will put down Lord Demetrios, ambassador for Duke Karameikos.
Mm-hmm.
And
what will Bradshaw put down?
Bradshaw's not there, is he?
He's technically with you still.
Oh. Sorry, I thought when we're doing the discussion, I was thinking Bradshaw wasn't with us at the first time, so...
well, you're not guaranteed to be able to get back before next session, so he's technically with you at least, unless you left him with the crew of the skyship.
I think he can left with the crew of the skyship for the time being.
Okay. In which case, then it's just what does Plowman put down?
He looks down at the paper and looks back up and then looks at Dimitri.
Is there actually a receptionist or someone actually monitoring the thing, or one of the specific guards watching?
There is a clerk who's making sure everyone signs.
Yep. Clark. My colleague here, my bodyguard, staff, Bug. He's not such good on the reading and writing side of the house. May I sign for him?
Unfortunately, the magic does not work unless he himself signs it.
You can put an X.
That's exactly what he does.
That guy. So,
but can Plumman actually write?
Yeah. He's a noble. No, he is. He's a noble.
Okay, so you hear the sound of trumpets blaring when he puts an X in the book. And a resilient sphere forms up around Plumman. So a wall of force.
Why?
Because you lied.
Your real name.
Yeah.
And you see one of the hulking trolls come and grab the ball and start carrying it off.
Yeah. Just confirming, does Plumman knows Alphatian?
No.
He does not know Alphatian.
The alphabet of Ethengar, is it the same as the alphabet of Alphatia?
Close enough that you can write it with either language.
Yeah. I'll try and as the alert goes off. Dimitri will probably say, "Don't try and write Alphatian. You don't write Alphatian. You have to write Ethengar."
Oh.
But obviously the resilient field will actually be going off at that point. But it's the idea of, is there any response or reaction from the class?
His answer is, I thought I wasn't supposed to write in Ethengarian.
The clerk calls the troll back and pulls out a device and touches the spear with it, at which point the wall of force surrounding Plumman disappears. You can try again if you did not understand the instructions. He speaks a lot slower to Plumman.
I'm not too good with Alphatian, but I'll give it a
No. But he was speaking Alphatian?
He was definitely speaking Alphatian. Think of American Tourist.
Yes, but the idea being that, Plymouth does not speak Alsatian at all, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. So, Dimitri will then provide an interpretation in Ethangarian and explain to Khan Goronov, you are a Khan, are you not?
No.
Didn't you end
There's
up
only
being...
one Khan.
He wants to be a Khan, but he's not quite there.
There's one great Khan. I thought basically there were multiple different minor Khans.
So the minor Khans are the head of the tribe. He's not the head of his tribe.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Do you have a title of any kind as far as the Ethigar is concerned?
I don't know.
Well, he can call himself a horse lord.
Well, it's also the sort of thing that technically he has a military title from Darrakan.
That is correct. He has the title of commander.
Yes. So, Commander Goronov, you can sign your native tongue, in your native tongue, or I'll spell out Commander Goronov in Alsatian for him.
He writes anything going.
And what purpose does Commander Goronov put down for being there?
And he wasn't one of the official representatives from Karameikos, was he? Because he was just a...
He was not, because he's not a member of...
He's not Karameikos, yeah, that's right.
The purpose he writes down is to stop two idiots from dying.
Okay, so the clerk checks it, chuckles a little bit, and says, that's much better than the X.
They both tell you the exact same thing.
And then we will aim to move on. Does Drazzle apparently... is Drazzle expected to sign? Or does he apparently not get noticed?
You look back and find that Drazzle's not there, and look forward and Drazzle's in front of you.
Yeah.
Right.
He generally avoids checkpoints wherever possible.
Well, I mean, he hates writing so much. And then, yes, well, we will continue forward then. Because Dimitri is certainly not surprised that Drazzle got past.
Okay, Drazzle starts to lead you through the palace. Apparently he's been here before.
Okay, yeah, so in answer to the question that was a shrug, there's slightly more information coming through now, still non-verbally.
Well, he generally does show you things through action and not through words.
Indeed. And, okay, there's no clerk or anything like that that wanted to come with us?
No, apparently they were expecting you to join the list of petitioners to the court.
Yeah, okay.
Though you seem to walk through side doors and...
Oh God, whoever's scraping the microphone, please
That would be
stop.
Jeremy.
Apologies.
So, as I was saying, you were taken through doors you didn't know existed and up through small passageways until you find yourself in the middle of a large reception hall.
Which is filled with people, or...
You can see benches around everywhere. There seems to be 1,000 seats in the circle around you.
1,000 more or less, huh?
Well, you know that the inner council of Alphatia is 1,000 wizards.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. Yes. Dimitri's looking around and going, I wonder where we are. So, is there any of the 1,000 seats currently occupied,
They are currently empty.
and there's no one, presumably in a seat of authority in the amphitheatre.
Well, before you see a throne next to a table and a small little bell on the table.
So, looking at Drazel, it would appear Her Imperial Majesty is not yet receiving petitioners.
Drazel points at the bell.
Or he might. So,
Then he points at Trella.
Okay, I'll ring the bell.
Okay, as you ring the bell, as the sound of its echo starts to fade, you realize that the seats all around you and the throne are now full.
That was a mistake.
As you seem to be before the royal court of, well, the imperial court of Alphatia. And a person comes up and says, welcome to the court of Alphatia. What is your petition?
Greetings, Your Imperial Majesty. I am Lord Ivan Dimitros. Present Lord Terrellon Silverleaf.
Though you
we are
realize
ambas-
that you realize as you continue on that you actually used your real name.
No, I said Ivan Dimitros.
You realize you used your real name, even though you meant to say Ivan. You seem to be in some form of true speaking area.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't seem to lie here. You figured that out after you use your full name.
Yeah, and that's fine. As I said, let's say he will aim to continue on with as minimal reaction or as pause as possible. Keeping it calm and cool about the process. Explaining, ambassadors from Duke Stefan Karameikos. We are here to discuss or continue the discussion that you've been holding with correspondence with His Excellency regarding imperial support in the secession of Karameikos from the Thyacian Empire.
And so you are greeted by the head of the Magicians Guild in Galantry, who has been here paving your way, known as Taldon. He says he is glad that you can bring official paperwork for a treaty with Alphatia.
Indeed, that is what we're here for. Does Dimitri recognise Taldon at all from his time in Galantry?
He's actually head of the Magicians Guild of Karameikos, not Galantry.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry if I said the wrong name earlier.
Well, I think you said Galantry, and I was thinking, okay, so Galantry is helping, which that can make sense because Galantry wants Daraka to get through. So, but yeah, okay. So from Karameikos, well, in that case, then yes, presumably Dimitri does know Taldon.
You know him by reputation, but you never really spent much time at the Magicians Guild itself while he was in charge, because he's only joined there in the taken over leadership of the guild in the last 2 years.
Okay, right. Okay. Because certainly, yes, Dimitri has been a long-standing member of the guild and certainly studied at the college at Karameikos for significant numbers of years of downtime. So,
But you have heard that his knowledge has been commended by other people who are using the school, as he's brought the average skill of the magicians coming out of the school up quite a few levels.
cool. So, yep, okay, well, if Talden has helped been smoothing the way, then that's certainly good for us. Did Stefan mention about when we were discussing the idea of how much interaction or conversation he'd be having with the Empress, but hey, he already sent to the representative over there?
Well, Talden is not an official representative.
No, but the idea from like I say, the conversations with Stefan to actually say, okay, what have you already talked about? Who's our contact? All that sort of bits and pieces. Hopefully, Talden was actually at least mentioned as being there.
He said he had agents working there.
Right, but hadn't actually said who they were.
You had a feeling he wasn't dropping any names in case it was scryable.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't put anything in writing because of the troubles of things such as legend law.
Yeah. And so you said that did Talden actually introduce himself, or did he recognise him by reputation, or?
He did introduce himself to you, and you can see the guild robes of the head of the guild on him.
Yep.
It also gives you a level of credulability because he is one of the magical leaders of Galantry, stating that you're officially here as part of Karameikos.
Yeah, one of the magical leaders of Karameikos, you mean? Yeah.
And as his standing here is pretty high as the head of a magician's guild, they are quite happy to receive you.
Marvelous.
As you realise that this is like court number 5. Making you giving you an understanding that they have multiples of these courts around the palace.
Yep. And with the implication that despite the fact that it appears to be full with all the inner council and the Empress, they may just be manifestations that are also present in the other courtrooms.
You expect it to be manifestations, and they would be given attention to each court as needed.
Yeah. The
Most of them can
then?
multitask well.
Sorry?
Most of them can multitask very well.
Oh yeah, no, that's right. But the sense of having therefore made introductions and confirmation of our authority from Talden. Did the conversation go any further at this stage, or is that oh yes, welcome? You appear to still be travel stage. Did you rest before having the formal meetings and discussions, or go straight into formal meetings and discussions?
Well, you seem to be going into a full discussion here.
Happy with that?
Where that the Grand Duchy of Karameikos is going to be calling itself the Kingdom of Karameikos, and that Alphatia will establish a peace treaty with the new Kingdom of Karameikos.
Basically recognising the new kingdom and therefore recognising its independence and authority.
Under the agreement that Karameikos will not help players in the war. And as part of that agreement, Alphatia will help fund an upgrade to the School of Magic in Karameikos' capital. So instead of just being a magician's guild, it will actually become a school of magic.
Nice. Especially after what Dimitri's learnt on the trip over here about the sorts of Alphasian magic that's potentially available.
And you do notice that nearly everyone in the court is very deferential towards Telton.
And rightly so, as a representative of the Great Magicians Guild, the head thereof. Obviously the worthy of any magician's conclave anywhere in the world.
And in return, the Empress Iridanas provides assurance that Alphatia does not perceive Karameikos to be Thinkol's ally. And she puts that in official writing.
Marvellous.
And states that within 3 weeks' time, this will be announced publicly throughout the Empire. All it requires is the official seal of the Lord representative to ratify it.
Yeah. Okay.
Basically, the treaty becomes formal once you return the paperwork to which will be then King Stefan.
Yep. And noting that they're planning to make the announcement throughout the Empire in 3 weeks' time, do they desire that King Stefan also make the announcement concurrently?
Well, you have that time to get him to get it back to him and sign it. So that's 21 days on a 10-day trip.
Yeah.
So you have 11 days up your sleeve.
Yeah, and that's just it, like I said, so from, Dimitri's perspective, he was thinking that, yes, okay, well, if it'll be less than 2 weeks to get back, so therefore we should get back in plenty of time, but it's more the idea that Alphasia would prefer to make it a concurrent announcement, not have the king make the announcement to Thyasius as soon as he signed it type stuff.
Well, they can't make the announcement until the king has signed it, because it will sign on all copies of the treaty at the same time.
Yeah, but okay, so whilst they've said 3 weeks, basically the announcement will be made after it's signed, is that right? That
is correct.
Okay, yeah. So we've got 3 weeks to get a signature, but it might be within 2 quite happily. So it's sort of thing that, Dimitri would definitely advise King Stefan to not make any announcement until Alphasia was also making an announcement, because that just might draw a bit of unwanted attention from Thyasius a bit earlier than they want.
You think that Stefan will definitely hold off his announcement until he's going to send troops to Darkin?
Yeah. Although, well, obviously the Thyasians will hear about it as soon as Alphasia announces it. So, yeah. So he may want to actually hold on to his troops for at least a few weeks after the announcement, just to say, are we getting invaded by Thyasians? No, they're over there too busy. Marvellous. Off we go. So, well.
At which point you remember that the city of Serorand, the gnomish flying city, also had a request for aid.
The one that had fallen down.
Well, it
was one of the reasons. Certainly, if the business is done here in the Imperial Palace, Dimitri will be, and I expect the others will be keen to leave as soon as it's suitable. And of course,
And Drizzle's happy to lead you out the back door.
Yeah. If there's an opportunity to speak with Keldon at all, that would be good. It's not understandable, but
He's
like
happy to have a conversation with you before you leave. But once you've signed the copy as a representative, the court disappears, leaving you alone in there with Talden.
Okay, right. Okay. Well, if we're going to have a private conversation, it might be nicer to be at least out the side door of the courtroom rather than out in the middle of the in front of the empty Emperor's throne. But or possibly Talden might be willing to invite us back to his room for a refreshment or things like that. But
Jeez, it's a bit forward.
He does lead you through the palace itself, and you find yourself in a ambassadorial wing with most things lavishly appointed and many servants to assist you.
Justice Dimitri wants to get used to. Sounds good. The type of lifestyle you wish to become accustomed to. But yeah, so the intent is certainly not to have a long, in-depth conversation with Talden. It's the idea of clarify any bits and pieces that might be necessary, pass on any other points from soon-to-be King Stefan that might have gone through, all those little bits and pieces, and aim to move out of the palace relatively quickly, because hey, someone might eventually make that connection between Dimitri Dimitrios. So
well, Talden does tell you now that it is officially put down in writing, the danger of carrying it is now at its greatest. It can now be divined now that it's written down.
Hey, folks, I do apologise. I'm going to have to go.
Yeah, I think we're finishing up very soon as well. That's all right.
So
thanks, David.
Thanks, David, very much for playing.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
It's all good. You go rest up. You sound buggered.
Catch you next time.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye. Talden does say to you now that he'll be travelling back with you, because now's the most dangerous part of the mission, getting the paperwork to the king. Well, the king to be. Until that's signed, there will be many trying to stop us.
There is a reason that Stefan chose heroes such as ourselves to act as his envoys. The document will be safe.
Well, he'll be travelling with you to help make sure.
Indeed. Who are we thinking are the most likely threats? Obviously, Thyasus won't be all that pleased to hear about it.
The Thyatin secret police will be looking out for you.
Are we aware that they've got or how effective their intelligence network is in Karameikos as to whether they're expecting or have suspected that these negotiations have been occurring, and that Stefan is aiming to escape Thyatis?
He's sure that they have spies everywhere, as spying is the national industry of Thyatis. They
I
pry
thought it
into
was.
they pry into everyone's affairs. He says.
I thought their national enterprise was civilization building and then abandoning.
That's what
city.
that's what history says of them. But their national pastime is looking over walls and seeing what the other person's doing.
Mm-hmm.
They're the world's worst busybodies. But if you pay them to do it for you, you get far more information from them than you do from most other sources.
Yeah.
They will know that you came here by a skyship by now.
Yeah. But doing the quick mental review of Dimitri's conversations and discussions with Sid and Win and Rudy and the other two whose names popped off my list at the moment. None of them fit the obvious mold of a Thetan spy. So
None of them do. They very few of the Theatans actually do the multi aspect.
yeah.
But with their spies, they might mimic the multi aspects.
Yeah, but so we presumably the ship itself, crew are as trustworthy as can be possibly expected from that perspective.
He tells you he actually knows the crew, having taught some of them in the past.
Well, hopefully you can therefore even more vouch for their well, at least non-Phaeacian leanings anyway.
They have no political leanings whatsoever, and will most likely fight someone who tries to force them to lean in any particular direction, which is why he chose them.
Unless, of course, they pay the money.
Even if they're paid money, they won't go in a political leaning. They have actually wanted to stay out of politics since the captain got out of incarceration.
Very good. And presumably, Theata will have spies located around Alphatia, but
they would at least have one in the royal court.
Their reach and capabilities are probably more limited while we're actually here right now.
You'd be surprised. They would be able to poison your food quite readily, as they are quite good poisoners. You do have remove poison spells, do you not?
I have to double check his list. I don't think he really does personally, but
it's quite useful when dealing with their kind. He doesn't recommend eating something that you didn't prepare yourself. Just to be safe while here.
Mm-hmm.
It's alright, immune to disease and poison.
He pats Trellin on the shoulder and saying, and that's probably why you are the best choice for this mission.
Yeah. Okay. We'll definitely be watching what we eat. So, but
he does not expect there to be a physical altercation while in this nation, but they will try to get you either on the way out or as you're crossing through their airspace.
Well, so Dimitri will also have explain, and Talon, I'm guessing, will also be confident to talk about the fact that, yes, we were also requested to see if there was any support that could be given for the gnomish city that we saw marooned on the outskirts.
Yeah, they've been added to the back of the Alphatian repair effort. because, well, they're trying to get their own warships up and running before they will assist the gnomes getting their city back up.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, because they consider the city to be a mass grave and not wanting to disturb the dead underneath it.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing also from the Alphatian perspective, they just as soon not have the city up and flying again, because then this ready supply of skilled engineers might disappear.
Well, they have convinced the gnomes that if they help get the rest of their fleet up, they will pay for the repairs of their own ship.
Mm-hmm.
But considering that it's probably in maybe 200-300 years from now, I can't see how anyone will ever remember that promise.
Indeed. Well, except possibly the gnomes, because they live a few hundred years, don't they?
They do.
But like conveniently forgotten by the Alphatians by that point.
Well, he's sure that there's a time limit in their ability to repair the gnomish vessel, because Alphatians generally put in a clause to their advantage.
Yep. So from the perspective of the request that we've been like to help the gnomes type stuff, ideally it was get their city up and running again, up and flying again and away. But that's possibly beyond the immediate weeks, the next week of activity, I'm guessing.
I'm sure what they're mostly missing is material and specific components.
Okay.
Which I believe they can tell you where to get, but they are unable to get transports to bring it to them. Partly because the Alphatians are diverting all transports to their own needs.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess for purposes of this right now, yep, we will return to the Wave Rider with Teldon, so then we can discuss potential options for whether or not we're heading back immediately to get this bomb out of our hands. Why do we keep getting explosives inside Alphatia? Or whether we are going to try and see what we can do for the gnomes, or at least find out what the gnomes might need first up, and therefore potentially come back if we can go multiple trips. But hey, Dimitri would be happy to fly on the Wave Rider for a few more weeks, because that gives him more time to actually study it and understand it. But we'll work out next session exactly which way we're going, if that's convenient for you guys.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure Bradshaw wants to be here when we try and help out gnomes.
Okay, so is there anything else you'd like to add before we go to end credits?
I think I'm okay.
Yeah, it's good.
I mean, obviously it's not like we're aside from stuff in the palace, we can't really go back and do anything in the palace immediately, but we're not necessarily committing ourselves to the next activity yet, so we've got time to talk about on the Wave Rider next time. So.
Okay. So we'll go to end credits, and then I'll chat to you quickly afterwards.
All good.